What a change 4 days makes here at Wilkins Stadium. Welcome in, everybody. Steve Strain with you on a Saturday afternoon of softball, as we've got two for you today. Game one will feature the Wichita State Shockers taking on the Bears of Missouri State. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. A couple of 10-8 teams on the season starting the day. Missouri State, though, has already won this afternoon. They've improved to 11-8 on the year as they've knocked off Western Illinois 5-0. That was the first game here as the Shockers are hosting those three schools. Wichita State will turn around after this game and take on Western Illinois. Then tomorrow we'll turn around and have the same matchups, but in the other order. Wichita State will take on Western Illinois and then Missouri State as well. So the first of two on a beautiful day in Wichita. Temperatures just around 70 degrees and a very, very light breeze. It beats the heck out of what we had here on Tuesday when it was around 50 degrees with winds up over 30 miles an hour. So there you see just a delightful day for softball. And we've got two for you, Wichita State and Missouri State here, and we're underway. First pitch is a ball, 1 ball and no strikes, is stepping in Erica Zimmer for Missouri State. Again, the Bears 11-8 on the season. Wichita State is 10-8. Shockers last game was on Tuesday in that 1-0 thriller over Arkansas. Zimmer is bunting here, and this one fouled at the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bailey Lange out there, center circle for Wichita State, just needs 3 more strikeouts for 200 in her career, and she was terrific on Tuesday in the 1-0 win over Arkansas. The lefty delivers. There's a swing and a miss for a strike. 1-2. Arkansas had been hitting well above 300 going into Tuesday's game, and Lange held them to just 5 hits. She went the distance, pitched a shutout. Madison Perrigan, the only RBI of the game, a second inning homer, and Wichita State won a tremendous softball game 1-0 Tuesday. There's a strikeout as Zimmer is caught looking. Good start for Lange. Now 2 away from 200, and Haley Vino will step in. So that's a good start for Bailey Lange, and as good as she was on Tuesday, this is already an improvement over her start, as she had the bases loaded in the top of the first inning with nobody out and escaped unscathed. Vino takes, that's a ball, 1 ball and no strikes. Lange also had 2 in scoring position in the second inning on Tuesday against Arkansas, and obviously got out of that unharmed as well, but here already a strikeout to start the game. Vino takes this one a little bit up. 2 balls and no strikes. Vino at 300 on the season. No homers and 6 runs batted in. Couple of left-handed batters. She's going to slap one over to Mackenzie Wright at third, over to first after she juggled it momentarily. Nice play by Mackenzie to stay with it. 2 up, 2 down. Shocker defense looks like this. Riley Buck is at first place. Kylie Hecker is at second. Lorianne Derrico, the shortstop. Mackenzie Wright making that play over at third. Asia Weber in left field. Bailey Nickerson in center. Paige Llewellyn in right. Madison Perrigan behind the plate. And there's left-hander Bailey Lange. Very familiar with this Missouri State team, like all the other Shockers. Bouncing ball left side. Derrico backhands. Throws to first just in the nick of time. Oh, what a beautiful play by Lori Derrico at short. Deep in the hole, a strong throw, and a 1-2-3 to start the game after half an inning. Missouri State nothing, Wichita State coming up. Bailey Lange breezed through the top of the first inning. 1-2-3. Now the Shockers will take the field take the plate, and they will now get their chance at Stephanie Dickerson, right-handed pitcher for Missouri State. They were doing some work around the plate area between innings, so we had a little bit of a delay before Dickerson was able to start throwing some warm-up tosses, and now she's through and ready to go. So Mackenzie Wright will step in for Wichita State. It's a Shocker lineup that is not putting up the kind of numbers we're accustomed to seeing. Wichita State's team batting average this season is just .243. And as we talked about on Tuesday, and as you probably know if you follow this team, they've had some very, very stiff competition in non-conference, including facing some very good pitching. So that has to be considered, but still not the numbers this program is used to. We'll see if that changes as the season moves along. First pitch to Mackenzie Wright in tight for a ball. Riley Buck and Lori Derrico for Wichita State, 1, 2, and 3. Paige Llewellyn hitting cleanup today. Caitlin Bingham is the designated player. Madison Perrigan behind the plate, bat 6th. Asia Weber 7th. Bailey Nickerson hitting 8th, and Bailey Lange bats 9th and pitches. 1-1 the count to Mackenzie Wright. Mackenzie is one of those that's not yet putting up Mackenzie-like numbers at .250 on the season. Have a feeling a lot of those lower numbers for Wichita State will change, though. Slicer, foul, right side. Jamie Ho will join me either toward the end of this game or definitely by the start of the second game against Western Illinois. Jamie has some other responsibilities to take care of, so we'll look forward to having her here just as soon as you can. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count to Mackenzie Wright. Shockers looking for their 11th win of the season. Each of these two teams have 8 losses. Off speed and away, the count's even at 2-2. 8th appearance of the season for Stephanie Dickerson. This is her 7th start. Only 3-2, but a very nice 2.58 earned run average. She's pitched in 38 innings coming into the game. Walked 11, struck out 34. She's given up 32 hits in the 38 innings pitched so far. Muscled, shallow left, that's going to get down. And Mackenzie Wright starts things off with a base hit to left field. So a good start for her, not the most solid of contact, but muscling was the right word as she fought it off and sent it out into shallow left, and here it is again. In a little bit inside, so a good job by Wright there to really turn the hips and rotate them and still get enough of the bat around on the ball to send it into left field. Runner at first now, and here's Riley Buck. In there for a strike, 0-1. Opponents this season against Stephanie Dickerson are hitting .221. Dickerson is just a freshman from Oklahoma City. Buck was showing bunt right there, then pulled it back, and down to second base goes Mackenzie Wright. Wright might have been fooled thinking that one was foul tipped, but it actually deflected off of the glove of the catcher Darian Frost, and then back to the backstop it went. Mackenzie has made her way down to second base, though, so Wichita State now with one in scoring position, 1 ball and 1 strike, the count at the plate to Buck. Riley's having a nice season, .341 with the batting average. That is second highest on the team of those starting today. Paige Llewellyn has the highest average of all the Shockers. This one lifted on the infield. Daphne Plummer, the shortstop, calling, then reaches back and makes the catch. 1 away. Caitlin Beeson over at first base for Missouri State. Madison Jones at second. Plummer making the play there at short. Kiana Mason is the third baseman. Haley Vino in left. Erica Zimmer in center. Hannah Heinrichs is the right fielder. Darian Frost behind the plate, as mentioned moments ago. And Stephanie Dickerson, center circle. Here's Lori Derrico now with a runner at second, one away. Outside, now a throw back to second, and Wright got too far off the bag and she's thrown out. Mistake on the bases there for Mackenzie Wright. And they're two away. And a strong and accurate throw as well by Frost. Give her credit as well. Here it is again, and Wright just kind of got caught in no man's land, and then a good throw and the tag from Jones, so that put out goes 2-4. Boy, that's a tough break for Wichita State as the count's even for Derrico. You had your leadoff runner aboard at first base. Nobody out. Then have that happen. Now all of a sudden nobody on, two away. The pitch to Derrico. Sliced, right field, coming on. And trying to make the catch is Heinrichs, but she couldn't squeeze it. And on over at first base is going to be Lori Derrico, and we'll see if that's going to be a hit or an error. It was not an easy play, and it will be a base hit. Heinrichs came on, got a glove on it. Here it is again. Sliding forward. And Lori Derrico's over at first base. So here's Paige Llewellyn stepping in now. And Paige takes one high and tight for a ball. Paige's average after Tuesday dropped to 370. She started the day at 417 on Tuesday, but did not have a good day at the plate, but nobody did. It was not an easy day against Mary Half and Autumn Storms, two great pitchers for Arkansas. Paige was 0 for 3 on Tuesday, including a couple of strikes out. She's ahead in the count here, 2 balls and no strikes. Runner at first, 2 away. Scoreless at Wilkins Stadium as Llewellyn a little flare to second. Jones comes on and makes the catch. So the Shockers had their leadoff batter aboard, but a base running miscue, and they come away empty after one. We are scoreless from Wilkins.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Wichita State with a couple of base hits in the bottom of the first inning, but the Shockers come up empty. And as we go to inning number 2, scoreless. There is Missouri State's defensive alignment. Bears batting right now, and it's Caitlin Beeson that'll lead off. She, as you see, is the first baseman today for Missouri State. Pitch outside for a ball. I mentioned in the first inning that Bailey Lange is very familiar with this lineup for Missouri State. Of course, most of you probably know she's a transfer from Northern Iowa, so she, like the rest of these Shockers, was in the Missouri Valley Conference last year. As Derrico retires Beeson 6-3 on a routine ground ball to short. Lange, again, 2 strikeouts away from getting to career K number 200. She's already got 1 here today, so a good start for Bailey, and now here's Darian Frost. In tight for a ball to the backstop for Missouri State. Lange's line on Tuesday, the complete game shutout, 7 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs. She walked 2 and struck out 6. There's a strike, and again, maybe the most impressive part of what she did Tuesday was how she was able to, with some help from the defense, get bailed out after early jams in both the first and second innings. Took something off there, and it stays upstairs, 2-1. That Arkansas team had only lost 1 game when they came into Wilkins Stadium Tuesday. They were 16-1. So Wichita State handed them their second losses all of the season, as this one is fouled out. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Arkansas was receiving votes in the latest polls, and the Shockers, for that matter, have made a splash there as well, and that win over Arkansas can only help. Here's a liner to short. Derrico's had a busy day. That's 3 putouts in a row for Lori. She fielded a grounder to end the first inning to start the second. Now catches that soft liner. And it's 5 up, 5 down against Bailey Lange from Missouri State. And here's Hannah Heinrichs, the right fielder. Pitch is in there for a strike. I mentioned the Shockers at a collective 243 batting average this season. Missouri State having some struggles of their own, just 268 with the team batting average. That one down low. It's also a team that's not shown a lot of power so far this season, just 4 home runs. And on top of that, those 4 home runs have been hit by just 2 players, Beeson with 2 and Darian Frost with 2. Nobody else has gone yard for this Missouri State team. Pitch is down low for a ball. Of course, they are coached by Holly Hesse, who has won over 750 games in her 29-plus year career. 3 balls and a strike, the count here. And that one taken, it is a strike. Madison Jones waits on deck. Full count here. Bailey Lange trying to make it 6 up and 6 down, but Heinrichs fouls this one back to the screen. Holly Hesse does not coach out at the base. Beth Perrine is over at third base for Missouri State. Sue Frederick is over at first. And they have both been with her for a long time as well. Hot shot over to first. Nice play by Buck to knock it down. Stay with it and step on the bag. And 6 up, 6 down for the Bears. As a good start for Bailey Lange. 1.5 in the books. Scoreless from the Wilk.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
So far, the makings of what could be a pretty good pitcher's duel. Wichita State and Missouri State scoreless. Shockers did pick up a couple of base hits in that first inning, but nothing to show for it there. And we'll see if they can have any better success here in the bottom of inning number 2 against Stephanie Dickerson. Scoreless, there you see the numbers for Dickerson that we touched on earlier. Pretty good start to the season for her. Caitlin Bingham to lead off for Wichita State. Madison Perrigan and Asia Weber after that, 5, 6, and 7 for the Shockers here in inning number 2 of a scoreless game. And this one catches the outer edge. It's a strike, 0-1. Bingham 276 on the year. She's got a homer and 5 runs batted in. That one misses. And things are now even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Bingham is the designated player for Wichita State. Kaylee Hecker is over at second base, but she is not starting as a hitter. And that one, speaking of a hitter, hits her. That's hitting Caitlin Bingham, and down to first base she goes. So hit batsman, and down to first base goes Bingham. Shockers now have had their leadoff batter aboard each of the first 2 innings. And here it is again as this one just sails inside and hits the outside part of that left knee. Didn't appear to be a bad spot to hit her. Bingham just trotted down to first like nothing happened, and Wichita State for the 2nd inning in a row has their leadoff batter aboard. And here was Tuesday's offensive hero, Madison Perrigan, with that 2nd inning solo home run. You can see she's locked in right there and ready to go on the first pitch. Outer edge for a strike, 0-1. I mentioned the wind on Tuesday, howling in from left field at over 30 miles an hour. And she hit one about the only way you could on Tuesday, and that was a low line drive, and it was to straightaway center field, just a bit outside. And that run stood from the 2nd inning all the way to the 7th as the Shockers won 1-0. Dickerson delivers. She continues to work the outside, and she got it there. Painting that outer edge, 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's really interesting, and maybe if not at this at bat, later on in the game, we can get a look at what Madison Perrigan does at the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. She lifts this one to the right side foul, but that left front foot for Perrigan, more than half of it is out of the batter's box. And then as the pitcher starts her approach, Perrigan dials it back in and squares it up a little bit more, but she is really wide open with that front left foot to start her stance. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There you can get a look at it right there. That foot is well out of the box. This one pulled foul, and that's going to sail out of play. Over the head of Christy Bredbender, the coach for Wichita State. Over at third base, Ryan Stefankowitz handles the pitching coach duties for Wichita State, but he also coaches over at first. One ball, 2 strikes again, and the pitch high and tight, 2-2. 1:30 tomorrow, Western Illinois and Wichita State. Then these 2 teams will meet up again at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And again, the Shockers will play Western Illinois after this game today. She tried to check her swing. There's an appeal, and she did. Well, you can definitely see, though, that Stephanie Dickerson is continuing to pound the outside part of the plate, and right here, tried it again, and Perrigan held up just enough to stay alive, and the count's now full at 3-2. Pretty big picture right here in the 2nd inning. Lifted, right field, pretty well struck, and back, and gone. And in back-to-back games, Madison Perrigan with a 2nd inning home run. It's 2-0 Shockers. Second home run of the year for Perrigan. Runs batted in 11 and 12. Far and away most on the team And a good job of going the other way. And that one just kept carrying and carrying. There is virtually no wind today. That flag in left field is completely still out on the pole. But that one didn't look at first like it had the sound of one that might carry out of here to right field, but it just kept going and going, and Hannah Heinrichs in right field ran out of real estate. And Madison Perrigan has given Wichita State a 2-0 lead. So here's Asia Weber now. And there for his strike, 0-1. So not only has Perrigan homered now in back-to-back games, but both of them in the second inning. A solo shot in the second Tuesday and a 2-run shot in the second here. 1 ball and 1 strike, the count to Asia Weber. I mentioned that was the 11th and 12th runs batted in for Perrigan. Nobody else for Wichita State has more than 6. They've got a handful at 6, but she is running away with that contest here in the early stages of the season. And there for a strike. And the count's now 1-2. I say early stages, it feels that way since this is the first week Wichita State's been at home, but this is game number 19 for the Shockers. 1 ball and 2 strikes on the pitch. Swing and a miss, and down she goes. So a good job by Dickerson after the 2-run homer to come back and get her first strikeout of the game. And that'll bring up Bailey Nickerson. Nickerson slices one, foul, just barely down the right side. Boy, that one was close. But the first base umpire was right on it, and it's 0-1. So 0-1 in a matchup that could get a little bit confusing. Dickerson versus Nickerson here in the bottom of the second. Dickerson to Nickerson. And did she check her swing? It looks like she did on one that came in high and tight. Now they'll appeal, a very delayed appeal right there, but Nickerson gets the benefit of the doubt. There it is again, pretty close, but both times on the appeals, Wichita State's been given the benefit of the doubt, and now the 1-1 comes down and in. 2 balls and a strike. Well, you wonder the way Madison Perrigan is going compared to the rest of the offense with now 12 home runs, if she doesn't start to slide up in the lineup a little bit, doing what she's done now out of the 6 hole, driving home the amount of runs that she has. That one is low for a ball. And the count's now 3-1. Actually, those are runs batted in 12 and 13 for Perrigan. I said 10, but that was going into play Tuesday. She's now got 13 runs batted in, leading in that department by 7 over a handful of others. Pitches a strike. The count's now full, 3-2. Missouri State trying to make it a sweep today. They've already knocked off Western Illinois, but trailing here 2-0. Chopped at the plate foul. The count still 3-2. Bailey Lange, the pitcher for Wichita State, waits on deck. We'll see if she gets a crack. Well, she definitely will with just 1 away. We'll see if the Shockers can get it back to the top of the order here in the bottom of the second inning, depending on what Nickerson and Lange do. That one fouled at the plate as well. Count still full at 3-2. Back to the road for the Shockers after the doubleheader tomorrow. 5 straight on the road, and that's it for non-conference before the Shockers have Memphis here to start a 3-game series in a couple of weeks. Full count pitch, another one foul. So a good job by Nickerson of staying alive. Count is still 3 balls and 2 strikes. Full count offering, took something off, and that one stays inside, and down to first base goes Nickerson. So that was a really good at-bat by Bailey to fight off some pitches, stay alive, and then draw the walk. So the Shockers now with a runner at first base with 1 away, and here is Bailey Lange. Lange had a couple of nice plate appearances on Tuesday as she had a pair of doubles. She does that here. The Shockers might well grab a 3-run lead. She takes outside for a ball. They were her first 2 doubles of the season. She does have a home run on the year, but up until Tuesday did not have any doubles, and now she's got a pair of those. One of them was to left center, and the other one was to pretty much straightaway center. Swing and a miss there, 1-1. Back to the top of the order next. That means Mackenzie Wright waits on deck. Shockers had just 4 hits on Tuesday. They've already picked up 3 here, including the 2-run homer by Madison Perrigan earlier this inning. Lange was showing bunt right there, but opted not to. 2-1. Runner at first, 1 away. Shockers already with 2 in. They've got 1 on. Lead 2-0. Dickerson delivers. That one down and in, 3-1. I mentioned the wind for Madison Perrigan's home run. Virtually none at that time. Now getting a little bit of a breeze out of the north, in from left field. Oh, what a difference a few days has made, though, with the conditions here in Wichita. Lifted, center field, and Zimmer's going to back up and make the catch for the second out of the inning. So back to the top of the order we'll go with Mackenzie Wright. Just looking at Christy Bredbender today, she was bundled up Tuesday with a big jacket. Bundled up tightly today, though she's got the light warm up and the shorts on. So in just 4 days, temperature more than 20 degrees better, and that wind is what's the big difference maker. That wind was just howling and made things awfully cold. There's Coach B down at third. Checking out her leadoff hitter, who is 1 for 1, Mackenzie Wright. Sent one into left field back in the bottom of the first inning. And she takes here 1 ball and no strikes. Wright would like a little bit of redemption, though, as she made a base running mishap in that first inning. She was thrown out catcher to second, just basically got caught napping too far off of the bag and did not get back in time. So Mackenzie hoping for a chance at redemption here with a runner at first and 2 away. Frost called time. She went out to speak with Dickerson. Now we're about ready to go again. A ball and no strikes to Mackenzie Wright. No runs batted in for Wright, of course, hitting out of the leadoff spot. They're not always the easiest to come by, but none yet for Mackenzie on the season. 2 balls and no strikes here. It's going to help, though, if Bailey Lange continues to hit the ball the way that she did Tuesday. She flied out moments ago, but maybe those doubles will turn things around for Lange, who's hitting just .220 on the year, .222 to be exact, coming into the game. 2 balls and no strikes. The pitch to Mackenzie. This one away, 3-0. Once again, Dickerson continues to work that outer part of the plate, the right-handed hitters, to no avail there, and time has been called. So a conversation in the center of the circle, and one up the third base line as well with Mackenzie Wright and the runner over at first, Bailey Nickerson. course, it's a big day in Shocker Nation. The Wichita State men's basketball team is underway in their conference tournament semifinal game against Houston down in Orlando. Cincinnati came from behind in the first game. They were down double digits at the break against Memphis, and Cincinnati came back and won that game. So Cincinnati is in the finals, and they will play the winner of Wichita State and Houston. And right now it's Houston 11, Wichita State 9, just about halfway through the first half. So we'll keep you apprised of that score throughout the afternoon. 3 balls and no strikes. The count at the plate to Mackenzie Wright. And there's ball 4. So a 4-pitch walk. Down to first base goes Wright. And on to second goes Nickerson. And up to the plate now steps Riley Buck. Even though the Shockers only scored 1 run on Tuesday and 4 hits, they did have their chances. I mentioned the 2 doubles that Bailey Lange had, and she was stranded in both cases. So the Shockers did not capitalize when they had some opportunities. Nearly won here, but pulled just foul. And I mean just barely. So a couple of times this inning we've had foul balls that just barely missed. Once down the right field line, and right here, Riley Buck just barely missing down the left field line. So the count to Riley is 0-1. Riley .319 starting today, a homer and 6 runs batted in. Nickerson delivers, took something off, and that caught the inner edge. And another snap throw down to second. This time it's Nickerson that Darian Frost was trying to get napping, but Nickerson back in time. Dickerson delivers, fouled back to the screen. 0-2. Stephanie Dickerson behind the circle to stretch out the arm a little bit. And now back and ready again. Outside, and another throw down to second, but again, quite a bit late. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Dickerson checks with Frost. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the pitch pulled foul. Dickerson has had a couple of really nice outings this season. She had a 7-inning shutout against Abilene Christian last Saturday, where she struck out 7 and scattered just 5 hits. And against number 4 Oklahoma, she came on in relief and held the Sooners to just a couple of runs and 3 2/3. She struck out 2, and that's the defending national champs. Well, down goes Buck. Shockers, though, come up with 2 on the Madison Perrigan home run. We'll go to the 3rd. Wichita State's got the 2-0 lead.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Well, Bailey Lange's out. She's got a 2-0 lead. 2 games in a row now. She'll take it to the 3rd inning with a small lead. It was 1-0 after 2 on Tuesday, thanks to Madison Perrigan's 2nd inning home run. Today, it's 2-0 after Madison Perrigan's 2nd inning home run. First pitch here to Madison Jones is in there for a strike, 0-1. Bottom 3 from Missouri State in the order: Jones, Stephanie Dickerson, and Kiana Mason. 7, 8, and 9 as Wichita State is staked to a 2-0 lead. Upstairs, 1 ball and 1 strike. Jones 250 on the season, no homers, 4 runs batted in as she fouls this one back, and the count's 1 ball and 2 strikes to her. She was 250 starting the day. The average, though, has dropped to 233 because Madison Jones in the first game against Western Illinois went 0 for 3. The count's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Again, Missouri State won that game over Western Illinois 5-0. Helping the Bears improve to 11-8 on the season. That one misses. Time has been called, and Perrigan is out from behind the plate to speak with Bailey Lange. Western Illinois has struggled some. They are 6-14 after their loss to Missouri State earlier today. That's who Wichita State will get after this one. Line just barely foul. And the count is still 2 balls and 2 strikes. It all happened in the later innings for Missouri State in the first game in their win over Western Illinois. 2 runs in the 4th, 2 in the 6th, and added 1 in the 7th. Western Illinois just 1 hit in that game. Holly Kelly went the distance for Missouri State, pitched very well. Gave up the 1 hit. There's a strikeout. And that is number 199 in the career of Bailey Lange as Madison Jones is caught looking. And that's out number 1.
Number 13, Stephanie Dickerson.
So up to the plate now steps Stephanie Dickerson. And right now we'll take a look at strike 3 to Madison Jones. Not much doubt about it. Madison Jones knew it, and back to the dugout she went. Now a strike delivered to Stephanie Dickerson. So we've got a pitcher versus pitcher duel here. That one stays up a little bit high. Counts even at 1-1. Bouncing ball, Derrico on a couple of hops. Easy toss to first. That is now 8 straight retired by Bailey Lange to start the game. And she's getting a little bit of a mix. She's gotten a couple of strikeouts, but a bunch of ground balls. In fact, that is the 3rd ground ball to Lori Derrico. She's also caught a liner. There's been a liner to first, or a ground ball to first as well. So other than the liner to Derrico, it's been all ground balls and a couple of strikeouts through 8 hitters so far. And here's Kiana Mason now, the lefty from Missouri State. 1 ball and no strikes to her. Mason with 5 hits and 23 at bats. That's good for a .217 average. 1 ball and 1 strike here. No homers, a couple of runs batted in for Mason. And now the count's 1-2. So now Bailey Lange is 1 strike away from career strikeout number 200. Also from sending the entire lineup down in order, and there it is, strikeout number 200, as down goes Mason and down goes Missouri State. 9 up, 9 down for Bailey Lange, and a milestone, strikeout number 200 there. We'll go to the 3rd. Shockers leading, bottom of the 3rd. Shockers up 2-0.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Well, here it is, a little history for Bailey Lange, working one a little bit in tight, but it worked as she got Kiana Mason to go around, and career strikeout number 200 for Lange, the junior from South Dakota by way of northern Iowa, now a Wichita State Shocker, and that's something that Christy Bredbender is very happy to say, the way that Lange has started the season. Lange now with 3 strikeouts, has 58 of those on the season against just 17 walks. Bottom of the third, Lori Derrico to lead it off for Wichita State. First pitch swinging and sends one to left. Vino coming on, and she'll make the catch, 1 away. Shockers sent 7 to the plate in the second inning. Derrico and Paige Llewellyn, who's up now, the only 2 that did not bat in the inning. And Paige is due after an 0 for 3 Tuesday. She's 0 for 1 today. Her average has dipped well below 400 now after she started at 417 Tuesday afternoon. Of course, her action has been limited. She missed several games in a row with an injury before returning to action, and now we'll see if Paige can get hot again with the stick. Houston 23, Wichita State 15. Down in Orlando. A ball and no strikes, and the pitch right back over us. 1 ball and 1 strike. Paige popped out to second to end the first inning. Dickerson ready and delivers. In there for a strike, once again finding that outer edge of the plate. So 1-1 the count, 1-2 the count to Llewellyn as Dickerson delivers. And Llewellyn strikes this one pretty well, deep to left field. This one's going to hook though and go foul and head out of play. Out toward the parking lot north of the stadium, and the count's 1 ball and 2 strikes still. Llewellyn just 10 runs batted in shy of first place in that department in Wichita State history. She's not going to get one here though, as down she goes. So 2 quick outs for the Shockers here in the bottom of the third inning. That bottom of the second inning took a long time. The Shockers scored 2 and then had a couple of walks. There was a conversation at the mound, and for 2 runs scored in the bottom of the second inning, that was a very long inning, it seemed time-wise, but this one whipping right through. 2 up and 2 down. Here's Caitlin Bingham taking a strike, 0-1. Bingham was hit by a pitch to lead off the second inning, so no official at bat for Caitlin as of yet, and she got hit again. Well, what is it about Stephanie Dickerson and Caitlin Bingham? Both of them were around the left leg or foot area. The first one in the second inning was right around the knee. This one down right on the outside part of the foot. You can see Dickerson goes down, grabs some dirt, tosses it down. She was not happy with herself there either. And now here's Madison Perrigan, and that's probably a big part of the reason why. Perrigan made Dickerson pay when she put Bingham on the first time, as Perrigan had that home run to right field, which gave Wichita State the 2-0 lead they have now. And Dickerson has done it again. She's put Bingham on. Let's see if Madison can make her pay again. And the pitch is high for a ball. Madison goes by the nickname of Butters. And I don't know if it's her dad or just a big fan of hers, but when we had the over home plate camera on earlier, you could see somebody in a black shirt, and it said Butters in capital letters on the back of it. High and away for a ball. 2 balls and no strikes, and time has been called again. Runs batted in, number 12 and 13 for Perrigan when she had the home run back in the second inning. And there it is. There's the Butters shirt. Oh, actually, that could be Madison's mother now that we got the tight shot. Obviously happy with the start Madison is off to this season with a team high 13 runs batted in. Again, far and away the most for Wichita State. And her home run that she had as well has now given Perrigan four home runs on the season. That is also a team high. Houston 26, Wichita State 22, now 28-22, just over 5 minutes left. First half from Orlando. Against Cincinnati, beat Memphis earlier in the American Athletic Conference semifinals in basketball from Orlando. So Cincinnati is in the finals. Now we'll see if Wichita State can get there as well tomorrow. 2 balls and no strikes to Perrigan. And this one misses away. Madison is the one that I mentioned earlier, has that wide open stance to start off as well. And hey, whatever she's doing, she needs to keep doing it. The way she's swinging the bat so far. We'll see if she's taking here. 3-0. She is. And it's ball 4. And maybe that was part of the conversation out on the circle as Asia Weber is hitting .250 on the season. Maybe you just go ahead and send Perrigan down to first base and take your chances with Weber, who's not swinging the bat as effectively and efficiently as Perrigan is. So runners at first and second now with 2 away for Weber, who was a strikeout victim back in the second inning. And Asia takes high and away. Dickerson with 3 strikeouts today, 2 of them in the second inning, 1 of them earlier this inning. And Weber was one of them. 1 ball and no strikes to Asia. Dickerson delivers. Asia thought about it and held up and now agrees with the home plate umpire that she should have. She's nodding her head yes, as in good pitch, good call. 1 ball and 1 strike, the count to Weber. Two balls and a strike to Weber. Dickerson ready, and here comes a 2-1, sent foul over on the left side. Asia only had 1 official plate appearance on Tuesday against Arkansas. She went 0 for 1. She also walked in the game. Two balls, 2 strikes. And the pitch to Weber. Another one sliced foul, turning into a nice at bat for Weber, staying alive and fighting off 2 strike pitches. So the count remains 2-2. Bailey Nickerson waits on deck. This inning started off very quietly for Wichita State. Lori Derrico flied out to left. Paige Llewellyn struck out, and it was quickly 2 up, 2 down. But since then, a hit batter and a walk. 2-2. Bouncing ball over to second. Jones a couple of steps to her left. Tosses to first, and the side retired. So the Shockers leave those 2 after the hit batter and the walk, and we'll go to the 4th. 2-0, Wichita State. On to the fourth inning on a sunny day from Wichita. 2-0 Wichita State. Shockers with 2 scratched across in the second inning. 3 hits for the Shockers, as not only is Missouri State scoreless and hitless, but Bailey Lange, that young lady right there, has been perfect so far through 3 innings. 9 up and 9 down for Missouri State. So that means she'll go back to the top of the order here, and the first one she'll face is center fielder Erica Zimmer. Lange also now has exactly 200 strikeouts in her career between Northern Iowa and her start to the season here at Wichita State. First pitch to Zimmer, in there for a strike. Zimmer was one of the 3 strikeout victims for Lange today. She was caught looking to start the game, so she is 0 for 1. Having a very nice season though at the plate. 373 to start the day as she sends this one foul. 0-2. I say to start the day, to start this game. Of course, Missouri State's already played one today, that victory over Western Illinois, where Zimmer went 1 for 3, which then brought her average to 373. Shot to center field. Over a few steps to her left is Nickerson, and Bailey will track it down. And there's the 10th in a row retired by Lange. And Haley Vino will step up now. (32-25) Houston over Wichita State. Just under 3 minutes to go. First half from Orlando. Vino 0 for 1, rounded out to third back in the first inning. Everybody from Missouri State has an 0 for. They're all 0 for 1 except Zimmer, who's now 0 for 2. And there for a strike to Vino. Vino had a nice first game against Western Illinois. She was 2 for 4 with a run batted in. Trying to slap one there, comes up empty. Daphne Plummer waits on deck. If Vino or Plummer get aboard, Caitlin Beeson will bat this inning. Sent foul left side. Once again, virtually no wind. Right after Madison Perrigan's home run, I noticed that flag was not moving at all out on the pole in left field. Then it started to blow just a little bit a short while later, but you look at that flagging and it is completely still out in left field. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The count now to Vino. 2-0 Wichita State. There you go. Quite a contrast from Tuesday. I think that thing almost blew off on Tuesday when the wind was up over 30 miles an hour. There's a strikeout. 4th of the game for Lange. Career number 201 for her as Vino is down, and they're 2 away. Now the first 11 retired by Bailey Lange, and here it is again. Vino just not sure of herself through that swing, but that's credit to Lange and the way she has mixed up her pitches today. The first one to Plummer is in there for a strike, 0-1. So she is in some kind of groove right now. And not just today. This goes back to what she did on Tuesday against a really good hitting Arkansas team. Counts even here, 1 ball and 1 strike. Bouncer, 1 hop, right at third. 12 up, 12 down. As the 4th consecutive 1-2-3 for Bailey Lange. After 3.5, Shockers still up 2-0.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
On to the bottom of the fourth now. Wichita State 2, Missouri State nothing in the first of two today for Wichita State. Western Illinois will be the Shockers' opponent about half an hour after the completion of this first game. And the Shockers will get things started with Bailey Nickerson, then Bailey Lange and Mackenzie Wright. So 8-9-1 for the Shockers, and Nickerson will get it started. Bailey drew a walk back in the second inning. So Stephanie Dickerson toes the rubber, and here we go. First pitch at the bottom of the fourth. And surprise, surprise, Dickerson's working the outside edge, and she gets it. It's a strike, 0-1. After Nickerson's walk in the second inning, she was sent to second base when Mackenzie Wright walked two batters later, but Nickerson was stranded at second. Here, she's going to pull one foul. Just outside the line at third. 0-2 to Nickerson. Stephanie Dickerson on the circle for Missouri State is one of two freshmen that the Bears are starting today. Daphne Plummer, their shortstop, is the other freshman for this Bear team in their lineup today. Once again, trying to find the outer edge. That one just missed away. 1-2 strikes, the count to Nickerson. Dickerson delivers the 1-2, fouled off back to the screen. The count still 1-2. So we also have a freshman versus freshman battle here, as of course Bailey Nickerson is a Shocker freshman facing the freshman and Dickerson out on the circle. 1-2 strikes. And the pitch to Bailey. That one in tight, and it hit her. And that's the third hit batsman today by Stephanie Dickerson. She's hit Caitlin Bingham twice, and now she comes in tight to Bailey Nickerson, and Nickerson down at first base. And all three times it was on either the left leg or the foot of the batters. Bingham took one to the left knee, the outer part of the left knee, then the outer part of her front left foot, and that time to Nickerson it was her left leg as well, and that's going to do it for Stephanie Dickerson. She is back to the dugout and a pitching change being made. So Stephanie Dickerson, is done, and now Missouri State's going to get another pitcher in there and see if they can find somebody that can have more success. So the Shockers with a runner at first and nobody out. For Wichita State, by the way, this is the third time in 4 innings the Shockers have had their leadoff batter aboard. This is Erin Griesbauer, by the way. She's a sophomore out of Blue Springs, Missouri. Attended South High School in Blue Springs, and she is in now. So Griesbauer will take the place of Dickerson as Missouri State tries to stop the bleeding out in the circle. Dickerson was not terrible by any stretch, but she did lose control a few times. The 3-hit batsman matches the amount of hits she's given up, 3. One of them, though, the 2-run homer in the second inning to Madison Perrigan. So now all Dickerson can do in the dugout is think about it and cheer on her team out in the circle. Fifth appearance of the season for Erin Griesbauer. This is just her second relief appearance of the year. She's got an earned run average of 5.83, and this is going to be a dead ball. So it hit her in the box. And Bailey Lange, bunting right there, has been called out. Lange bunted, and apparently that ball came up and struck her after she was out of the batter's box, and she's been called out. So Lange was trying to move the runner over, and here's a look at the replay as Bailey squares to bunt. Well, no, the ball didn't strike her. We'll get a clarification on what happened right there. But Lange has been called out nonetheless, and the first pitch to Mackenzie Wright's in there for a strike, 0-1. Good start for Mackenzie. She's 1 for 1, but she's been on base both times. She walked in the second inning after a first inning leadoff single. Hot shot up the middle. That's through for a base hit. And down to second base now goes Nickerson, and the Shockers with one out have something cooking here after Mackenzie Wright sends one to center, and a 2-for-2 day for Mackenzie, and you know that's got to be pleasing to Christy Bredbender to get her leadoff batter going. Mackenzie started the day with a batting average only at .241, but 2 for 2 here, and Wichita State with 2 on and 1 away. We'll see what Riley Buck can do now. Pitch fouled back and out of play, 0-1. I mentioned this is the 5th appearance for Erin Griesbauer. Her record is 2-1. Her earned run average, 5.83. She's pitched in 12 innings this season. She's walked 5 and struck out 7. Opponents hitting a pretty nice .383 against her. The 0-1 just barely misses. Boy, it sure seems like Stephanie Dickerson got those called strikes earlier in the game, but that one missed outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. This one sent to center. Drifting over a little bit to her left is Zimmer. She'll make the catch. And Buck is retired for the second out of the inning. Well, if the Shockers come up empty here, they'll have to be pretty disappointed after Bailey Nickerson led off by getting hit by a pitch. But Bailey Lange was called out as she put a ball in play bunting. Then Mackenzie Wright singled, but Riley Buck's flyout means now they're 2 away, and it's going to be up to Lori Derrico. That one looked like it might have been a little bit further outside than the ball that was called a couple pitches ago, but a strike to Derrico, 0-1. Lori is 0 for 1. She is walked and flied out. Griesbauer took something off. 1 ball and 1 strike. Erin Griesbauer in the 12 innings this season has given up 10 earned runs with 5 walks and 7 strikeouts. 23 hits she's allowed in 12 innings. This one well struck right field, backing up and to her left into foul ground is Heinrichs, and she'll chase it down. Nice catch down in the corner. And an inning that started off pretty promising for Wichita State ends with no damage done. We go to the 5th, 2-0 Shockers.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Caitlin Beeson to lead off the top of the 5th inning. Wichita State leading by the score of 2-0. Bailey Lange was called out for bunting in the last inning, and we'll show you a replay here in a little bit. see if we can find out exactly why, as the first pitch to Beeson is a strike. Apparently she was either bunting while she was out of the batter's box, or the ball hit her out of the batter's box. I don't think it hit her at all. So here in a little bit, we'll take a look at the replay and see if maybe she was out of the box when she bunted. But I was looking for that too on the first replay, and it's kind of hard to tell from the center field angle, but looked pretty good. But we'll take a look here momentarily. No balls and 2 strikes to count to Caitlin Beeson. Now 1-2. Bailey Lange has been perfect in the circle. 12 up, 12 down. No base runners to this point for Missouri State. Lange also has struck out 4. This one popped up on the infield. Moving to her right is Riley Buck. She'll make the catch for another out. And that's the first 13 in a row retired by Bailey Lange. And that'll bring up Darian Frost, the catcher. Frost had one of the harder hit balls against Bailey Lange. She lined out to short, but she, like everybody else, is hitless and has not even reached base. 0 for 1 for Frost. 1 ball and no strikes here. They're at the half in Orlando. Houston 37, Wichita State 31. So the Shockers will have to play catch up if they are to move on to the finals of the AAC tournament in Orlando. Pitch outside for a ball. 2 balls and no strikes. The count to Darian Frost. Bouncing ball to second easily for Hecker, and a toss to first. And 2 outs here in the 5th quickly again for Bailey Lange. So Hannah Heinrichs will now try to stop the stream, which is at 14 in a row retired by Bailey Lange, who is still perfect on the day. First pitch to Heinrichs, misses for a ball, 1-0. I think some of the natives are starting to become concerned that I might be jinxing Bailey. But I've been tracking it for quite a while, and it's not come back to bite me yet. Pitch in tight for a ball to Heinrichs, who grounded out to first back in the 2nd inning. She's 0 for 1, 3 unassisted. There's a strike. Lange needed that one badly to come back now, and the count's 2-1. Heinrich started the day at 278 with no homers and a couple of runs batted in. Her slugging percentage also mirrors her batting average at 278. Now Lange has come back with 2 straight strikes to even things up at 2-2. Madison Jones waits on deck. But the way Bailey Lange is gone, she might well have to wait till the next inning. There's a liner into right field. That'll be a base hit. Rounding first and on her way to second is Heinrichs, and she's not going to stop there. She's going to motor to third, and the throw a little bit wide, and it'll be a triple for Heinrichs. First base runner of the game, first hit of the game for Missouri State. A Hannah Heinrichs triple to right field. Well, a good piece of hitting by Heinrichs right there, going the other way, and Hecker almost got her glove on that, but it was just over and on into right center it went. And on to third went Heinrichs. And now here's Madison Jones, and we'll see what happens to her before I get run out of town. Gets chopped at the plate, 0-1. Jones led off the 3rd inning when she got caught looking. She was strikeout number 199 for Bailey Lange before Lange later in the 2nd inning got Kiana Mason for career number 200. Lifted left side over the dugout, now to play, 0-2. Another one lifted left side foul, and this one's going to get out of play as well. Still 0-2. The 0-2 bounced up the third baseline foul. Madison Jones is one of two Joneses on this Missouri State team. You would presume they're not related. Madison's from Overland Park. Sarah Jones is from Jefferson City, Missouri. Swing and a miss. Down she goes. She was really fooled right there. Another strikeout for Bailey Lange. The perfect game is over. The shutout's not. We go to the bottom of the fifth. Shockers by 2. On to the bottom of the fifth. Quickly moving game from Wilkins Stadium. 2-0. Wichita State's got the lead. Missouri State finally picked up their first hit. Their first base runner in the top of the fifth inning off Bailey Lange, but it was a 2-out triple. Unable to do anything with it were the Bears. Now we go to the bottom of the fifth, and it'll be Paige Llewellyn, Caitlin Bingham, and Madison Perrigan. 4, 5, and 6 for the Shockers as we move toward the later innings on a beautiful afternoon from Wilkins Stadium. Who would have thought that after what we saw here earlier this week? First pitch to Llewellyn, off speed and away, 1 ball and no strikes. Erin Griesbauer starts the fifth inning. She came on in the middle of the fourth. So she will start her first presumably full inning here in the bottom of the fifth as Llewellyn sends one deep to right, but well foul. 1 ball and 1 strike to Page. Stephanie Dickerson left in the bottom of the fourth inning after she hit one batter, then gave up a single to Mackenzie Wright. And Griesbauer is now on. And Llewellyn sends one through back up the middle and a leadoff base hit for Page. So the Shockers start off the fifth with a leadoff single. And Wichita State now has had their leadoff batter aboard in every inning except the third. So the fourth time in 5 innings the Shockers have had their leadoff batter aboard, and that'll bring up Caitlin Bingham now. And we'll see if Caitlin's got on all the extra padding. She has been hit by a pitch twice here in the game. Bunting here. Nice one. Beeson's only play to first. That'll be a 4-3 putout, or excuse me, a 3-4 putout, but Bingham retired on the sacrifice, and it gets the job done. Down to second base goes Paige Llewellyn. So Madison Perrigan will step in now, but not until after a nicely executed bunt by Caitlin Bingham right there. You don't have to get too cute with it. Just put it out there and play. If you get on base, it's a bonus, but all you're trying to do is exactly what she did. Let's move the runner over. Well executed by the defense as well. Beeson came in, rotated around, made a nice throw to first. 0-1, the count to Perrigan. In there for his strike. Perrigan was taking, and that one appeared might have been a shade outside, but 0-2 to Perrigan. Good day again at the plate for Madison, in addition to her 2-run second inning homer, a third inning walk. So she has yet to be retired. Good eye there to stay off 1 and 2. And Griesbauer appears to be doing the exact same thing that Stephanie Dickerson did in working the outer part of the plate. That must have been something on the scouting report Missouri State really felt like they needed to do. Grounded to short here, fielded by Plummer. Throw to first just in the nick of time. Nice job by Plummer to field. Look the runner back to second, Llewellyn, and then fire to first just in the nick of time to get Madison Perrigan 6-3 for out number 2. So it'll be up to Asia Weber now if she's going to move Llewellyn around. Here's that last play by Plummer. Not a bad job to move to her right. And there you see a good call by the first base umpire. Perrigan thrown out at first. Now Asia Weber takes a strike, 0-1. If the Shockers don't get a run here and you're Christy Bredbender, you start to become maybe a little bit concerned about the Shockers not moving runners around. There's a strike. Their only run on Tuesday was the solo homer by Perrigan, but they had their chances with runners on. 2 doubles wasted by by Bailey Lange on Tuesday. Shockers have had some opportunities today. They've come up empty with runners on. And again today, the only runs via the homer. But you want to manufacture runs. You want to play station-to-station baseball and keep the line moving. And the Shockers have not really done that here in the last couple of games, and it's reflected in their season batting average, which starting the day was around 240. There's a bouncing ball deep in the hole to short. Throw to first will be very late. Plummer did all she could to keep that one from going into the outfield, which would have been an RBI single, but it's going to be an infield hit for Weber instead. Runners at the corners. Here it is again. Not nearly as easy for Plummer this time around as it was the previous ground ball her way. Great effort by Mason at third, diving to her left, coming up empty. So here's Bailey Nickerson now. With runners at the corners and 2 away, and Bailey takes a strike, 0-1. Bailey's been on base twice today without an official at bat. She's walked and been hit by a pitch. Now time has been called. There will be a conversation out on the circle. The Shockers at Western Illinois half an hour after this one. And then Wichita State will play the 2 teams again tomorrow in the reverse order. It'll be Western Illinois first. And that game will be at 1:30. Then at 4 o'clock, Wichita State and Missouri State. The Shocker Sports Grill and Lanes is the perfect place to spend time with the family and friends. Open to the public, the Shocker Sports Grill and Lanes features 8 bowling lanes, billiard tables, plus great food and beverages like freshly made burgers, sandwiches, salads, cold beer, and more. The Shocker Sports Grill and Lanes, located in the lower level of the Radigan Student Center, is the perfect place for kids' birthday parties, group events, or a night out with friends. We appreciate the Shocker Sports Grill and Lanes sponsoring Shocker softball here on WSU TV. All right, no balls and a strike. The count here to Nickerson. And the pitch is sliced foul. Well, I'm happy to report my partner in crime is here, Jamie Hull. Boy, have I missed Jamie. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, it's good to have you.
Ready? Good day for softball, rather.
Yeah, much better, isn't it?
It is.
0-2. Bouncing ball over to short, fielded by Mason. And a throw to first in time, and indeed the Shockers cannot manufacture runs. It's been all homers via the RBI since all RBIs via the homer since Tuesday. We go to the 6-2 Wichita State.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Well, we go to the 6th inning, and I feel like a new person. My partner, Jamie Hull, joins us here. Jamie, we were talking during the timeout, and I was kind of catching you up on what's happened. Jamie had some university responsibilities today. This game is very similar to Tuesday's, not just, and it's a low-scoring game that Wichita State's leading, but Bailey Lange dominant again in the circle, and Madison Perrigan with the big home run. Tuesday it was a solo shot. Today it's a 2-run shot, and that represents, like Tuesday, all the scoring in the game.
Yeah, I'm sure this Wichita State coaching staff is very happy with the weather today. A lot of times you see a softball team playing very, very well when you've got a nice day at the ballpark. It looks like that's really feeling good for Bailey Lange and the other half of her battery in Madison Perrigan.
Stephanie Dickerson stays in the game as a hitter. She was taken out a couple of innings ago as a pitcher, but grounds out to short right there. First out of the inning. Now Kiana Mason. And it looks like actually they've got a pinch hitter in for Missouri State, who's going to send one off to the right side foul and out of play. And that's going to be Allie Alfstad, who's the pinch hitter. So Alfstad is a senior from Tulsa who is in pinch hitting for Missouri State. And Jamie, I was keeping track of the consecutive batters in a row retired by Bailey. And then when I really started to make a big deal out of it, when it got up to 14, I was told to stop because I was on the verge of jinxing, and lo and behold, Hannah Heinrichs, a 2-out triple.
It's the bat and ball curse. It really is.
1 ball and 1 strike to Alfstad, who takes good pitch. Outside edge at the knees, 1-2. But that's been it for Bailey, and the Shockers really need this right now. This offense is putting some pressure on her. Not producing runs, at least certainly in the last couple games for Bailey, the way these Shocker offenses have in the past. And fortunately, she's been able to respond. 1-2 still.
Yeah, Bailey Lange is really making starting to fit in really, really well on this squad, being new to the Wichita State lineup this year. She had big shoes to fill in both Jenny Brooks and Katie Malone last year, doing the majority of the pitching for the staff here at Wichita State. And she has truly set in. She looks like a veteran out there for the Shockers, so she's doing a fantastic job as really the ace here as she gets that nice little K for the second out.
Jamie, she also picked up her 3rd strikeout of the day in the 3rd inning, so she hit the 200 strikeout barrier in her career with that one, and she's picked up 3 more since. So 6 strikeouts for her today, and 203 in her career as we go back to the top of the order with Erica Zimmer. And Lange continues to throw strikes. And how about Madison Perrigan? 13 runs batted in, far and away most on this team. Nobody else with more than 6. She's also the home run leader with homers in back-to-back games as well. One ball, 1 strike, the count to Zimmer. And the count's now 2-1. Lange looking for another quick half inning here. With nobody on and 2 outs. Bunting here is Zimmer, but it goes back. And the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Missouri State running out of outs now, but still very much within striking distance. They're just having trouble consistently getting to Lange. This one low and in.
Lange's really working the inside corner here. It looks like just for lefties in general, that's a really great spot to go. It's a tough pitch, honestly, to bunt. So, if we've got a bunter up specifically, you got to be really careful about how close you put it.
Another one chopped back to the screen. It's funny because I've really been harping on the fact that both Missouri State pitchers all day long, Jamie, have been working and working and working the outer edge. But Lange, conversely to the Missouri State hitters, is working them all inside.
Yeah, lefty on lefty inside pitch. That's got to be one tough one to hit.
Well, not a bad job by Zimmer. Sends one out to short, but Derrico's going to be there and fire across in time. And another 1, 2, 3 for Lange. She's still only allowed one base runner to the bottom of the 6th. 2-0 Shockers.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Shockers looking for a little insurance here, bottom of the 6th, and they're going to try to find some off the bench as junior Bethany Canada will be a pinch hitter here for Wichita State. So Canada will start the inning, and it's interesting because Bailey Lange is due up to bat for Wichita State, but Canada will hit for Lange. Doesn't necessarily mean Bailey's coming out of the game off the circle. But it'll be Lange, then back to the top of the order, Mackenzie Wright and Riley Buck. So the 9-1 in 2 spots for Wichita State here in the inning. So Canada steps in hitless on the year. 4 plate appearances. She is 0 for 4. Just the 6th game overall Bethany has appeared in this season for Wichita State. And she takes one. Griesman misses. 1 ball and no strikes. And Griesman out there now. After coming on in the 4th inning in the middle of the inning, so her 2nd full inning of work. Trying to keep her team down only 2 to go to the 7th. Canada to right field. Pretty much right at Heinrichs, though, who makes the catch 1 away.
Sounded like some good contact from Bethany Canada. You know, she doesn't get up to the plate too often, but when you can have a good at bat like that, make solid contact, that shows your coaching staff that you're ready to go at all times, and that's really what you want to see in a pitch hit situation. This is, you know, Canada coming in as a junior from DeSoto, Missouri, so somewhat local, somewhat close, coming to travel to play softball at Wichita State in Wichita, Kansas.
Here's Mackenzie Wright, and another hot shot, Jamie. That is 3 base hits for her. When this game started, she was right around 250, and I was talking about how much Christy Bredbenner would love to see Mackenzie start getting aboard, and lo and behold, she's gotten on base all 4 times, 3 singles and a walk. Boy, is that big to get from your leadoff hitter.
Yeah, Mackenzie Wright does an awesome job making contact. That's why that #1 spot for her in the lineup is crucial at most times to really, you know, be the big stick that gets on base, is consistent. But you're exactly right, Steve. You know, to see, you know, one of your seniors step up in a situation to kind of get a rally going this late in the game really shows those underclassmen what it's all about to be a Division I athlete.
Wichita State's going to go back to the bench again as Neely Herring will be the pinch hitter. So Herring for Riley Buck. As Christy Bredbenner trying to punch the right buttons to get some insurance here in the bottom of the 6th inning. We'll see if Herring could now provide that after Mackenzie Wright's 1-out single.
If she looks tall on screen, she sure is. She's a 6-foot freshman from Chandler, Oklahoma. Neely is great academically as well. Did a little competing as a prospective student in the academic scholarships here on campus.
Only her 2nd at bat of the season, and she sends one out towards second. It's deflected into center field. Not an easy play for Jones, and we'll see if that's a hit or an error, but Christy Bredbender probably won't care. She's got first and second with one away. Pretty tough play, I thought, right there for Jones, going deep to her right.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough play. It looked like it maybe just got in the hands of Neely Herring, so a little bit just kind of a weird spin that the infielders needed to kind of work together to come up with here. But yeah, it looks like she was maybe trying to do too much there. Maybe make the stop first and then trying to touch the bag with your foot. Probably would have been a better decision there. But tough play nonetheless up the middle.
It's been ruled as a base hit, which is the 7th now for Wichita State. So Mackenzie Wright down at second base. Herring is on at first. And Christy Bredbender now makes another substitution. I think she's gotten a courtesy runner out there. And it looks like she has. Riley Buck went back into run is what it is. So Buck was hit for, but now Riley is out there as the runner. So Buck is at first, Mackenzie Wright's at second, and here's Lori Derrico, and she sends one high and to right field, but Heinrichs is there, makes the catch. Mackenzie Wright will tag and go to third.
I'll tell you what, so far this inning, I know I'm new to this game so far, but the Shockers seem to be right on as far as hitting the ball hard. Looking like it's just right to people. Now I will say this is a big difference from Tuesday night's game where we had a ton of wind coming in. If you look at the flagpole now, it is completely dead. So this is an opportunity for both teams to really take advantage of a light wind or really less than light wind day in Wichita.
Well, we're going to have a discussion at the circle, and you're right in what you're saying. However, one thing that I brought up earlier, Jamie, is Christy Bredbender, though, may start to be getting, if she hasn't been already, concerned about the offense, because if you'll remember Tuesday, they still had chances. Remember the two doubles for Bailey Lange that they didn't capitalize on. Mackenzie Wright, when she led off the game with a single, the bottom of the first anyway, got picked off of second base, just napping. And you can see throughout the score sheet here, the Shockers have had other opportunities to score, and they've not taken advantage. And you like to be able to get the home run, that's nice, but manufacture runs, move runners around. And that's quite frankly something this team isn't doing right now.
Yeah, you don't want that left on base stat to be one of the highest stats of the game, you know, where you see so many left on base for either offense. So you're exactly right. Hopefully they can capitalize on a situation with two runners on here and maybe turn that stat around.
Llewellyn, hot shot off the glove of Griesbauer. Then the play at second. Did they get the tag? They did. Boy, that's a nice play by Madison Jones out at second to apply the tag. They're going to say Buck was, I thought the initial call was she was out. But Buck is safe and the run scores.
Yeah, it looks like she tried to do a light toss, and it looked like it just went a little wild for shortstop to handle there.
See if the second base umpire didn't at first give the out signal, and that's what I was watching for. There it is. See the left arm?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's an obstruction call. It almost looked like an obstruction arm.
I was obstructed from the view of what happened at second. I was just looking at the umpire. We went out with the left arm. I thought, she's out. Well, it's 3-0 Wichita State. Shockers will certainly take that. And they've also got runners at first and second here with two away. So they did get some insurance. Now we'll see if they can keep it going. Caitlin Bingham is up there now. That was Paige Llewellyn who hit the fielder's choice out to second. Mackenzie Wright scored from third, and Riley Buck is now out at second base. And there's a strike, 1-2.
Caitlin Bingham is a freshman as well, Tecumseh, Oklahoma, biomedical engineering major at Wichita State. Certainly a tough degree to earn, but certainly one to go after if you got the interest.
Caught looking here, and the Shockers do scratch across one, so Missouri State will need 3 to tie, 4 to take the lead as we go to the top of the 7th. Bailey Lange, we'll see if she can finish it off.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Haley Vino to start it off for Missouri State. 2, 3, and 4, Vino, Daphne Plummer, and Caitlin Beeson, but they need 3 to tie, or Wichita State's going to get a win after another dandy from Bailey Lange. First pitch to Vino. She's going to slap one up the third baseline. That's going to be a fair ball. And Vino is on at first base with an infield hit. Well, it was a high bouncing ball, and Perrigan came down with it, but just no time to throw to first once she did, and that'll be a leadoff base hit. Just the second base hit, second base runner for Missouri State, and here it is again.
Yeah, that might have been a situation where Madison Perrigan maybe could have let it go foul. You know, as the defender does touch it, that makes it a fair ball if it's in fair play, but there's always the chance that if you don't touch it, the ball could go out into foul territory, you know, with a quick runner up to bat. That might have been the best decision in that situation.
Yeah, especially if it's got the right kind of English on it, it can spin backwards for sure. This one's sent over to the left side. Mackenzie Wright's going to run out of real estate. Lands on the roof of the third base dugout. 0-2, the count to Daphne Plummer. So 2 hits on the day now for Missouri State. Of course, Lange was so good on Tuesday when she helped her team defeat Arkansas. Arkansas picked up just 5 hits. Now there's another base hit as Derrico can't come up with this one. Deflects it with the glove over into foul territory, and hey, all of a sudden Missouri State now has got the tying run coming up to the plate, and that's going to get Ryan Stefankowitz out of the dugout.
I was just thinking this might be a good time to call timeout, kind of get the Shockers back in line a little bit. This would be their opportunity maybe to kind of hit the refresh button here. Although you're up 3 runs, that could quickly change with no outs and 2 on here. So you definitely want to kind of refresh as a defense and make sure that you kind of get that next out and be prepared for the ball to come your way.
So Caitlin Beeson will be the one that'll step up now for Missouri State. And one swing of the bat and she could tie this thing up. And Beeson is one of only 2 Bears to have a home run this season. She, as I mentioned earlier, and Darian Frost, each with a pair of home runs. Those are the only home runs for Missouri State this season, but Beeson has 2 of the 4. So Bailey Lange has to be very careful here. Tying run up there. Nobody out, 2 on, top of the 7th. Shockers leading 3-0. Pitches upstairs, 2-0 to Beeson. Well, Bailey, from the sound of that one, it hit Perrigan's glove. Sounded like she had a little bit extra mustard on that one.
Yeah, I think she's going to do everything it takes to get the first out. You know, when you're a defense standing around and you've had a couple of hits in a row, you really need to kind of sew it up here.
Hot shot to short. Nice play by Hecker, but the ball is dropped by Derrico and they're loaded. Oh, it looked like that was a pretty good throw to Lori and she just dropped it. And we'll see if Derrico gets charged with the error or what's decided, but we know this. They are now loaded with Bears as the go-ahead run is up there now. Nice play by Hecker. That one was really well struck. Yeah, she just flat out dropped it. And you almost wonder if she was looking to catch and get rid of it and try for the double play, but didn't look it in initially. That's going to be an error on Derrico.
Yeah, you see Kaylee Hecker making some fabulous plays at second. She covers so much ground. It's unfortunate there. It does look like Lori Derrico was probably trying to do too much in one swift play. I mean, I could totally see why. You know, you want 2 outs in that situation, try and sew up this kind of hot offensive inning that Missouri State's having right now. Just trying to do too much. You know, didn't see the ball in first before trying to make 2 outs out of that play. Definitely something that these Shockers need to kind of look into and see, hey, let's, you know, go 4 and ball first and just get that 1 out at a time.
Missouri State's got a courtesy run over at first. That's Griesbauer, the pitcher, who is running over at first. And they've got Darian Frost, the catcher, now up there at the plate. And all of a sudden, she represents the go-ahead run. And there's a strike, 0-1. Frost is the other Bear who's got 2 home runs on the season. So the last 2 batters, Beeson and now Frost, very capable of sending one out. If it happens here, Missouri State's going to have a 1-run lead. Not sure if that's what Frost is thinking about, rather than just making good contact and putting one in play. She's going to stay alive, though, after checking her swing there, and it's 1-2.
A lot of zip coming from Bailey Lange right now. I think it just makes that point again, Steve, that you talked about. She really wants it, and she's going to do what it takes to paint the corners here and hopefully get an easy out for her team. Just got to be careful not to keep it too close to the plate.
Lange is working the edge, but can't find it there. Counts even now, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Frost is a junior. Good eye there, and the count's now full at 3-2. Boy, what a big pitch coming up here. Full count, bases full of Bears. 3-0 game, but Missouri State very much alive here. And Frost fouls it back.
Got 2 juniors battling it out here in Frost and Lange. See which upperclassmen can come out with the win at this at-bat.
Frost is from Lee's Summit, Missouri, and Holly Hussey does a really good job of recruiting locally, and she rips one into left field. That's going to get down. Everybody will move up 1 base, and now Missouri State's on the board. It's 3-1. How big does that error out at second loom large now for Wichita State, as the Bears now have the tying run out at second base, as Frost, look at her just rip this one into left.
Yeah, it's a great piece of hitting right there. You couldn't have asked for a better spot to put it. That definitely gives her Bears another opportunity with no outs to continue the scoring here. And that's certainly something that you got to think about as an offense, that it's contagious. And this could be an opportunity for them to really have a big inning. And that's really when it becomes important that Bailey Lange stay ahead of the hitters. You know, she had 2 strikes on Frost before coming back with 3 balls. So you just got to really focus on getting a ground ball. You know, have your defense work for you. See what you can do from there.
Sarah Jones will be the courtesy runner here for Missouri State. Houston 49, Wichita State 45, 11.5 to go from Orlando. And basketball, here we've got a good one. The first pitch to Hannah Heinrichs is low and away. 1 ball and no strikes. All of a sudden, the Shockers have had some activity down in their bullpen. Tying run here is at second base. Why did Lange need that one? 1-1. Heinrichs is the one who ended the perfect game for Bailey Lange a couple of innings ago. Comes up empty there, 1-2. Shockers do not want to see an extra base buyer here. At the very least, that would tie the score. Way up high, 2-2, and Bailey Lange is not the same in this inning. There's no doubt about it. The error at second certainly didn't help, but Lange has lost some of her command.
Yeah, I think that's something she struggles with in general, just hitting her spots at times. When she's on, but she can have a little bit of a kick there, and she did a great job coming back. Even then, a little out of the zone, but had enough zip on it and enough spin. Able to fool Heinrichs there for out number 1.
Big strikeout right there. 7th of the game for Bailey Lange. She went a little bit upstairs with it, but she found the right spot.
It's a great pitch. What a tough, that's a tough pitch to hit as a hitter in Heinrichs' situation there, especially with bases loaded. That's a really great spot for Lange.
Madison Jones sends one out of play, left side. Lange has had Jones's number today. Jones has struck out twice. She's 0 for 2. Caught looking in the 3rd, caught swinging in the 5th. slapping at one over toward the third base dugout, and Mackenzie Wright over to have a look, but that one sails away. 0-2, and boy, would another out here be big for Lange.
Jones is the only Kansan on the team here for Missouri State from Overland Park, Kansas. Senior.
Got a lot of Missouri kids. Oklahoma too, and there's strike 3 called, and Jones has been caught looking for the second time today. Struck out for the 3rd overall. That's 8 Ks now for Lange, and that one was huge.
That was a great spot by Lange. She had a lot more control in that at bat than what we've seen in a few of the at bats leading up to this moment right here. She can keep that control. It's going to be tough as a hitter to really come around with any kind of contact.
Well, if you're Lori Derrico, be ready here. Stephanie Dickerson 0 for 2 with a pair of groundouts to short. But she sends one foul here, 0-1. Dickerson not only trying to keep her team's chances alive, but trying to avoid getting credit for being the losing pitcher of this game. Lange really took something off right there. Good pitch, 0-2. Dickerson gave up the 2-run homer to Madison Perrigan in the 2nd inning. Left the game a couple of innings later, so she would stand to be the loser if this doesn't change. That one was one Perrigan lined up outside, and that's right where it went. Wichita State has tied Houston 54 apiece, under 10 minutes left in the game. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bases full of Bears. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And down goes Dickerson. Down goes Missouri State. They threaten in the 7th. They do score 1, but they leave them loaded. However, Wichita State comes away with the 2-run victory, 3-1. What a job striking out the side did Bailey Lange after flirting with trouble early.
You could see it in her eyes. She wanted it. She was zipping it that last inning. I just don't think, even as good as the hitters were from Missouri State, you know, it's tough to get a good hit off of a pitcher who's hot. And man, she was hot that last inning.
So Wichita State comes away with the victory, a 3-1 win in a thriller this afternoon from Wilkins Stadium. And again, it's the first of 2 we'll have today. In about half an hour from now, it'll be Wichita State and Western Illinois. So we'll all take a break. The Shockers will go down and huddle in right field. They'll dress up the dirt and chalk it again, and we'll do it again with Western Illinois, a team that's struggled this season with just 6 wins so far on the season. But Wichita State here picks up win number 11 against 8 losses, and Missouri State now falls to 11-9 on the season. So the Shockers come away with the victory, 3-1. There you see the final numbers: 3 runs, 8 hits, and an error. Missouri State 1-4-1. All right, 30 minutes from now, we'll be back. Wichita State and Western Illinois. We'll have that for you and talk to you in about 30 minutes.